Welcome to Knife Thoughts. This video is going to be my full review of this knife, and this is the Jack Wolf Knives Little Bro, and this is the first full release of the Little Bro. So it's one that I was really excited to finally get to share with everyone, and finally for everyone to get it into their hands. Now I'm getting this video out a little later than normal, than I normally do with these Jack Wolf knives. So this has been released already. So make sure if you're interested, go check it out, see if the one that you are looking for is available. There are several different versions. I went with this Crystal Lake Kieranite, and I went with it because it just looked really cool in the promotional pictures, and I was not disappointed at all. If you watch my unboxing video, which I will link up here, and you can see the packaging, all the great extras that come with this knife also in that video. Comes in a really nice box, a nice tube. And speaking of the tube, I found out recently on the Jack Wolf Knives Worldwide Facebook group, which I highly recommend joining. I'll put a link in the description. Found out there that the tubes are actually made by the same manufacturer that makes Renaissance wax tubes, and I recently started using Renaissance wax on some of my knives. So that was kind of just a cool little tidbit to find out about the all of the nice extras that come with the Jack Wolf knives. It is nice that they come with the tube, but then they also come with a very nice leather slip. Now this is not the one that came with the Little Bro Jack. This is the one that I just kind of use for all of them, and they're very nice. I've said in several videos now that they have kind of converted me to using leather slips on my knives, so I really appreciate that. And then it comes with 2 stickers and a microfiber cloth. Again, you can check out that video if you want to see all of that. But I think it is really cool to know that the tube is made by the same manufacturer as that of Renaissance Wax. And like I said, in my unboxing video, I was really blown away by this blue Kieranite. I think that it just looks really cool. Now, like I said, as always, there's lots of other versions that they came out with, and I think if I hadn't gone with this blue Kieranite, I would have gone with the wood covers. It looked like there were some really incredible examples of the wood covers, some really great grain, a lot of variance in the grain, so I think that that's a great option also. And definitely, like I say, these are already out, so if you're looking for one, make sure you check and see if it's available. I'll put a link to the dealers below. Definitely check out Traditional Pocket Knives and Knives Ship Free. That's where I would recommend, but there are lots of other great dealers that are selling them also. Now, like I said, this is the third attempt really at the Little Bro Jack being released, so I want to talk about that a little bit. So I actually have one of the original Little Bro Jacks, and this was sent to some of the reviewers that Ben sends knives to a while back, and he sold some at shows, and it turned out that a lot of them, I don't know if it was all of them, but a lot of them had blade wrap. So if you're not familiar with that term, what that means is that the edge hits the back spring when it closes. And it can be because, the blade just sits too low, or because there's too big of a hump in the back spring. But on the Little Bro, it was actually because just of the interplay between the spring strength and the closing speed, and basically the blade kind of bounced when it closed and over traveled. And at the, I guess, 2021 GEC Rendezvous, Ben attended, and it was great getting to talk with him, and we took one of these apart. I think his personal Little Bro Jack from this attempted first run here, and got like a slow-mo video of that, and he decided not to do the full release. Now at that rendezvous, I sharpened mine and actually another knife enthusiast, Jack's Little Bro Jack. His name is Jack, but he had a Little Bro Jack, and it took a few sharpenings on mine, but you definitely can sharpen the blade wrap out. That's how you get rid of blade wrap generally, and there are some other ways, but that's really the most straightforward way. And this blade sits deep enough in the frame that you're not going to sharpen it enough that the tip becomes proud from it having a little bit of blade wrap. So it wasn't a huge deal, but I think that it was the right call. You know, Ben really stands behind these knives and wants them to be right, and so he didn't release those knives. Even though, you know, you could just sharpen it, he could have, he does offer sharpening on these knives from a professional sharpener, but I think it would have been a lot, and, you know, you want to get a product without, you know, that issue that you have to send it in. So I think that was a really, you know, showed his integrity to make that choice. Then there was another attempted release of the Little Bro, and apparently the factory cut the cover materials to the wrong size or something of that nature, and so they had to reorder cover material and basically redo it. And these runs, you know, it's not like it's a you know, month or two process. This is a several months long, if not longer, process to get these things, you know, from the planning of the run to actually, you know, getting the knife out. So here in November 2023, the Little Bro has finally released. And now there are some differences between this and this original. I believe I did an unboxing of this knife and maybe like a little kind of explanation of why it wasn't coming out. But I want to show you some of those differences. So one thing you might notice is that the nail nick is smaller on the newer version, and they both work great. Really, I only ever pinch this knife open. It's super easy to pinch open. No issue with that. Sorry if you can hear the loud trucks going by, but it's very easy to pinch open, and I really only ever use that. But you can definitely get your thumbnail in there really easily. It's plenty big. This one is a relatively big nail nick. I want to show you it in comparison to the Big Bro Jack. You can see on this Big Bro, it actually has a smaller nail nick also than the Little Bro. So maybe just a little bit of a change in general for Ben for the designs here. Now on the other side, one kind of change that Ben has started doing with his knives is having them all have a similar lining on the bolsters. So these three lines here, that's the second version of the laid back jack. Here is the Feel Good Jack. Here is the second version of the Vampire Jack. And you can see that they all have that three lines, or those three lines. And you can see that this doesn't. So he just didn't add it onto it. Being that this is a little bit of a smaller knife, I'm sure it would have been a little bit more difficult to fit those three lines on. So, you know, just something that didn't make it to this model. Another thing is that the sharpening choil is not much bigger than the original, if it is bigger. Whereas on the second version of the Vampire Jack, where's my first version of the Vampire Jack? There it is. On the second version of the Vampire Jack, you can see it has a significantly bigger sharpening choil, and then that's true also for the second version of the laid back jack. So here is the original laid back jack, and here is the second version of the laid back jack. So that's another thing that didn't make it to this new version of the Little Bro. You can see that the sharpening choils are pretty similar. But another thing that did make it to this new version is the change in blade steel. So for a long time, all of these Jackwolf knives were M390, and now Ben has switched to S90V. I have really liked it. I wasn't super familiar with S90V before getting these knives, and I've been really impressed. It's really not that hard to sharpen. I use a DMT dual-sided diamond stone to start, and then a Spyderco double stuff, and then a strop. Really not that difficult to sharpen, you know, in comparison to M390, other super steels like that. But it holds an edge really well. I think, you know, this is just my experience. I'm not a steel expert or anything, but it seems to just take a little bit of a nicer edge, and that just might be, you know, my own personal sharpening or whatever. An interesting thing with this one, and I don't know why this happened, it shouldn't, but it seems to have actually patinaed a little bit, just a tiny bit there. So I don't know if I was cutting something particularly acidic or what, but it did seem to patina a little bit. Now, speaking of cutting, these knives are ground so well. I mean, it just slices like crazy. I use my knives a lot to cut food up for my son to bite sizes, and it does that great. It cuts cardboard great. It's just ground super nicely with this very well done hollow grind. So it's going to cut really well. And it's a classic clip point. Ben does such a great job of his clip points. I think that it's about as good looking as a clip point can get. So you have that great look, you get some straight edge, a nice belly, and then a very usable pointy tip there. As for the handle, it's relatively small compared to a lot of the other Jack Wolf knives. I'll show you probably the biggest Jack Wolf knife. This is the Benny's clip. But it's plenty big enough. In fact, I think that this is a really great size for a slip joint for me, because I almost always carry a modern knife also. So I'm going to show you a couple size comparisons here. So this is compared to a GEC 15. You can see that they're very similar in size. Here is a GEC 14. So you can see the 14 is smaller than the Little Bro. Here is a GEC 86, closer in size to the Big Bro again. So I will show you the Big Bro one more time with the Little Bro. So here is the Big Bro, closer in size to the 86. So it's a classic size for a slip joint. I think it's 3 5/8 or something like that long, closed. So just slightly longer than the GEC 15, but about a perfect size for a slip joint in my opinion. You can really do most of, if not all of your normal daily cutting with this amount of blade, and it feels comfortable in the hand. So I really like it. I think this would be a great choice if you were just going to get one nice modern slip joint, like a Jack Wolf knife. I think this would be a really great choice, especially if you're coming from modern knives and always carry a modern also, like I usually do. As for the quality, it's always great on these Jack Wolf knives. You can see that the fitment is all really good. There's no gaps on the back spring. The action is incredible as always. I'd say the pull is like a 6.5, something like that. Beautiful sound, nicely centered, and sits nice and deep in the frame, and no blade wrap. I have opened and closed this lots and lots, and there is no blade wrap for sure, so you don't have to worry about that. No blade play or anything, just a really nicely made knife. So I really like the Little Bro. I've been carrying it a lot, using it a lot, and I think it's a great little modern slip joint. So definitely, if you're interested, check it out. Grab one before they sell out. And thanks as always to Ben for giving me the opportunity to check this knife out. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure you subscribe. Ooh, let's try that again. Subscribe to the channel, click the bell, and select all so you know when I post new videos. Check out my website, knifethoughts.com, where I post articles on knives like this and knife-related topics. And last but not least, as always, don't forget to go out and do good.